Welcome to the Kottke Ride Home for Tuesday, December 22nd, 2020. I'm Jackson Bird. Down the rabbit hole of targeted ad marketing through the lens of some strange Buttflap onesie pajamas for adults. Don't trust the sea foam in Australia. And some Catalonian Christmas traditions that are pretty crappy. Here are some of the cool things from the news today. So I often save articles that I see while I'm working in the Pocket app to read later in the day or over the weekend. And apart from bookmarking things I'm interested in, one thing that I like about that app, like many others of its kind, is that it gives you a stripped-down reading view without all of the ads and other junk that clutter up most media outlets' sites. But that means that when I sat down to read the Elle article about Christy Smythe and Martin Shkreli that the internet couldn't stop talking about yesterday, I missed out on a key part of the experience that countless others reported happening to them. Being bombarded, both on the article itself and in their browsing afterwards, by an ad for a flannel onesie with a partially open butt flap being modeled by a woman in a flirtatious pose. Kate Taylor at Business Insider was one person who got the full Buttflap pajama ad experience and decided to go digging into why so many other people reading the same article did as well. So the pajamas are made by fast fashion brand IV Rose, and they're listed as plain, functional, buttoned flap adults pajamas for just $26.99. You've probably never heard of IV Rose. And that's actually the first part of the mystery. On an article that became so popular, how was a little-known brand getting so much ad space in front of so many eyeballs? Greg Sterling, the vice president of Insights, told Business Insider, quote, "It may just be a happy accident for them, or it may be part of some sort of strategy. One doesn't know, but it's pretty hard to engineer a viral ad." End quote. Nandini Jami, co-founder of Check My Ads, told Business Insider that the brand safety company Double Verify had flagged the article as unsafe, which means that a lot of bigger companies who work with brand safety companies would have chosen not to have their ads on this article. So there was therefore an opening for IV Rose, a company either without the marketing budget to hire a brand safety partner, or who simply doesn't care about being beside potentially offensive content because their concern is about the bottom line, not brand image. In fact, that can even be part of the strategy for some companies, to literally look for potentially offensive content on major websites where the bigger brands will pull their ads and the smaller ones can get in for less money. But even with them doing a big ad buy there, it's still strange for so many people to have gotten the same ad. It doesn't seem like it was super targeted based on different users and their behavior as ads are. Dr. Christoph František, founder of ad tracking and targeting company Adalytics, cleared that up a bit. Quoting Business Insider, IV Rose uses 18 ad trackers, sets 9 third-party cookies, and uses ad tech services from companies including TikTok owner ByteDance, Twitter, Facebook, and Google, František wrote in an Adalytics blog post on Monday. František also noted that new Chrome profiles and people who clear all third-party cookies do not see the IV Rose onesie ad, even on the Elle website. It's therefore likely that Google or some other ad tech company is classifying the Elle.com article as being related to adult content or subjects, and is targeting users who visit articles like this one with adult content, including the Ivy Rose ad, František wrote. If you saw the Ivy Rose ad, František told me, you likely did something online that made Google or some other tech company believe you're seeking out adult content. It seems to be very broad targeting, Sterling said, but it is targeting all the same. End quote. And it wasn't just on the Elle article that people saw it. The ad started following them to other sites. Part of this is their broad targeting, but Connor Ryan, the co-founder of the social media ad platform Stitcher Ads, points out that part of it was also psychological. It's the kind of weird ad that could easily stick in your memory on its own, and with people talking about it all over Twitter, you're more likely to notice and remember it. And, František says, there's another reason. Remarketing. Remarketing, or retargeting, is, quote, a popular strategy in online advertising that shows you the same item over and over again, or repeatedly shows you items related to past online behavior. It can be incredibly effective or incredibly annoying, depending on if you actually want to buy the item, end quote. I tend to notice this the most for items I just bought, which is when it gets really annoying to me. But for the Ivy Rose Buttflap pajamas, especially with people talking about them, it makes sense that people would have clicked through to learn more, and that visit to the item page then drastically increased their chances of seeing the ad again elsewhere. Now, as for who's actually behind the company, you will probably not be shocked to learn that journalist Kate Taylor was unable to find a real human behind it. Instead, Ivy Rose is one of several almost identical fast fashion websites with the same products, models, and product photos as each other, all owned by Shanghai Zhigao Information Technology Company Limited. Ryan, the Stitcher Ads founder, said, quote, "These are what I would call opportunity brands that have a very short lifespan. They can set up the business in a week and tear it down just as quickly. They're not trying to establish a long-term brand. They're trying to rapidly sell low-quality products at really high margins." End quote. And considering Vice was able to hunt down the original photo used for the pajamas, which was not from Ivy Rose, and show how a myriad of different pajamas have been photoshopped onto the model for different ads, it's very likely the actual product would be quite different from the one pictured if anyone were to order it. Which it seems like a lot of people have. There are 336 positive reviews on the site, and Business Insider journalist Kate Taylor ordered a pair for herself, as did her colleague. I think these kinds of companies probably have enough success even when they don't go viral, as Greg Sterling said, but they certainly get a boost when they become a highly discussed piece of internet curiosity, so the weirder and more aggressively advertised, probably the better, at least for their pocketbooks. But hey, if you are in the mood for something comfy to wear and you'd like it from a more legit company, Japanese clothing store Aoki has you covered. Whether you're in a Zoom meeting or taking an extended lunch break to marathon the Queen's Gambit on your couch, they've designed a pajama suit. It's basically jersey material lounge pants and a cardigan, but in professional suit colors like dark blue and gray, and the cardigan is cut so that it looks like a blazer, at least to your coworkers seeing you via video conference. The bad news is Aoki doesn't ship outside of Japan just yet, but I'll bet that we see other copycat pajama suits soon. Possibly even from Ivy Rose. The cryptocurrency world can be confusing. I always wanted to get involved somehow, but it's a bit intimidating. But with BitTrust IRA, it couldn't be easier to add Bitcoin to your retirement account. BitTrust IRA's team can guide you along so you can confidently diversify your portfolio with one of 2020's best performing assets, Bitcoin. BitTrust IRA has a 24/7 trading platform with no minimum investments and unlimited trades, plus the lowest trading fees in the industry. And as far as security goes, they store your private keys in nuclear bunkers with military-grade encryption. Crypto assets present the best opportunity to build generational wealth since the discovery of oil. So what are you waiting for? Go to BitTrustIRA.com/Kottke to learn more. And for a limited time, BitTrust IRA is waiving the sign-up fee for Kottke Ride Home listeners, a $50 value. That's BitTrustIRA.com/Kottke, BitTrustIRA.com/Kottke. If you're listening to this podcast, I imagine that you, like me, love learning new things, which is why I think you will also love today's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community for creatives, where millions come together to take the next step in their creative journey. They offer thousands of intriguing classes for creative and curious people on topics including film and video, web development, productivity, creative writing, design, entrepreneurship, and much more. I'm looking forward to taking their Animating with Ease in After Effects class because I've always wanted to learn how to create motion graphics and just get a better handle on After Effects specifically. The one great thing about Skillshare is that you feel a real sense of community with fellow creatives that, for me at least, inspires me to keep exploring and creating. And Skillshare is incredibly affordable, especially when compared to pricey in-person classes and workshops. An annual subscription is less than $10 a month. And for listeners of the Kottke Ride Home, you can explore your creativity at Skillshare.com/Kottke and get a free trial of premium membership. Again, that's Skillshare.com/Kottke for a free trial of premium membership. Another entry into the Australia is friggin' terrifying category. Ahead of wildfire season ramping up, New South Wales and Queensland were plagued with severe storms last week, which have now caused huge amounts of dense foam to coat the beaches. The foam is born out of the storms churning up the seawater and mixing it with algae, salts, fats, and other pollutants, according to The Guardian. Videos on social media run the gamut, with some people ignoring it, kids playing in it, and also some people knee-deep in the stuff, frantically searching for a dog lost in the foam. Apart from losing pets and children in the exceptionally high foam in some areas, Australian officials warn that it's probably not safe to be playing in due to the natural contents, the false sense of security, and not being able to see any sudden surges of waves through the opaque foam. But also because there could be sea snakes lurking in it. Australia is home to 32 different species of sea snakes, with most of them being venomous but rarely deadly. Nathan Fife, Gold Coast Life Saving Services supervisor at Surf Life Saving Australia, said, quote, "There's a lot of debris coming out. There's been trees and things like that have washed up. I think there was half a cow that washed up at the beach yesterday, so make sure what's in front of you. There are trees and logs floating around, so please be careful," end quote. So yeah, could be a venomous snake, could be half a cow. Australia, man. Even the sea foam isn't safe. Yesterday, I shared the recipe and history of the German punch Feuerzangenbowle, which is basically a mulled wine that's set on fire. Today, I want to travel southwest to Catalonia, where they have some pretty crappy Christmas traditions. Not that they're bad, they're actually pretty awesome. They just sort of revolve around, well, crap. So first is the tradition of Tio de Nadal. Writer Marta Basels described her childhood experience with Tio de Nadal really well in the New York Times a few years ago, so I'm just going to quote her. "When I was 5, I stood in my grandparents' small, pipe smoke-filled, well-loved apartment in Barcelona on Christmas Day, getting ready to hit a wooden log. The log wore a painted, smiling face and a red hat. Its front was propped up on 2 legs like a sitting dog, and the rest of its body was covered with a checkered blanket. My grandmother had taken it out of storage, as she did every year, and lovingly set it up on the floor, dropping some clementine peels around its base to show that it had been fed. My role, as the youngest child in the family, was to sing to the log while I hit it with a stick, thus prompting it to defecate presents and nougat, for the log was magic, and this is what it did." End quote. Yes, Tio de Nadal, or the Christmas log, roughly translated, is a magical log that kids feed throughout December by leaving it food and water. The food and water disappear come morning, so you know that the log ate it, and by Christmas he is so full of food that he has to take a crap, and lucky for the kids, that crap comes in the form of presents. Usually smaller stocking stuffer-esque presents, while bigger presents come via the 3 kings or 3 wise men on their flying camels on Epiphany Day. Now, I wasn't sure how much of a tradition this really is still, but a cursory search on YouTube yielded a PBS Kids cartoon about it, as well as tons of videos of kids and adults alike happily banging their family log with sticks while they sang a song encouraging him to crap out the presents. Basels notes that the exact origins, like most Christmas traditions, are opaque, but that it probably stems from rural pagan traditions in the Middle Ages. The log was meant to symbolize and honor the earth and abundance, and used to be burned after providing presents as a ritual of protection for the home. Back then, it was an ordinary log from the yard, but now it's more often a fake log bought from a store and possibly handed down through the generations, with a face drawn on it and an attached red hat. The whole getting to hit something with a stick and loudly singing a song with a swear word repeated over and over again, the most popular song, Cagatio, literally translates to shit log, is surely a ton of fun for kids. A bit of mischief they get to indulge in when other cultures are encouraging kids to be perfect little innocent angels at Christmas time. And it's apparently in keeping with Catalonian culture because another surprising Christmas tradition of theirs also involves defecation. It's the El Caganer, or the Holy Pooper. See, in Catalonia, their nativity scenes often expand throughout all of Bethlehem, so you get a lot more characters included than just Mary, Joseph, baby Jesus, and the wise men. You get the whole town, and included, usually on the outskirts or tucked away a bit in a corner, is El Caganer, a figurine pictured in a half-squat position with his pants pulled down, exposing his butt, and a little pile of poop beneath him. There are a lot of theories as to how this got started and what the Caganer represents. Sergielos, a crafter and vendor of Caganers, says it goes back to the 1700s, when Caganers were guys who would relieve themselves in the fields as a form of fertilization, an important part of a town's functioning and therefore worthy of being included in the nativity, and over time it became considered bad luck not to include him. More recently, artisans like Alos started making pop culture riffs on the Caganer, featuring popular characters, athletes, celebrities, and politicians. As you can imagine, this really changed the market. Instead of just one Caganer that you might have passed down in your family through the generations, now you would buy new ones each year or have multiple ones decorating the house even beyond the nativity. And, of course, they're huge with tourists. Though none so huge as the one that was built at a mall in Barcelona a decade ago and which scored the Guinness World Record for largest Caganer. It was a 19-foot-tall installation featuring a big old bare butt and a 3-foot-tall brown pile right in the middle of the mall's shops. Just imagine encountering that if you weren't familiar with the tradition. And what is up with all of these crappy Christmas traditions in Catalonia? Well, Balcells, writing in the New York Times, doesn't have a definitive answer, but did point out that, quote, plenty of our swear words and popular sayings feature that bodily function, for which the main etymological dictionary includes more than 75 derived words, end quote. So sure, it's a little bit weird, but I think Christmas is a great time for a bit of a laugh and for anything that unites us and reminds us of our commonalities, because after all, everyone poops. That is it for today. As always, this show was produced by Ride Home Media and Kottke.org. I am Jackson Bird, and I'm gonna go leave some toast by a log and just see what happens. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow.